Hello YouTubers. So today I wanted to do a little video on how we came to purchase our RV, and is it a right time to purchase an RV, especially with the demand driving up prices so much. You know, it's sometimes most time people are paying MSRP or more compared to what it was listed in 2019. So well, look at my notes here. Please forgive me. There's a lot of information here, and that led us to making our decision of purchasing our new travel trailer. So first of all, how did we get here? So less than a month ago, Nina and I were just talking, basically just kicking a can around, just going, you know, it'd be nice to have a travel trailer. We've had them. We borrowed our parents for many years, and my parents, like I've said in previous videos, my parents have had them also. So borrowing them, taking them out, you know, it's been great. So the model that we were actually looking for in the beginning was the Grand Design Imagine 2250 RK. We like the rear kitchen model. It's just a couples coach. That's all we needed. We just needed the sofa, recliner set up, and then and that's pretty much it. You know, besides the bed and the center bath is what we like to, because of the amount of room that it had, and it being lightweight. So I believe that one came in like at 5,700 pounds, and so that's what really kind of appealed to us. Something small, easy to store, easy to tow, and was just right for us. So, you know, like I said, it's been about a month now. So I just happened to hop on Craigslist one day, typed in the Imagine, seeing what came up, and sure enough, there was a 2018 2250 RK that was for sale, maybe 45 minutes from us. So no big deal to run up there and take a look at it. But before I wanted to drive, you know, 45 minutes, I wanted to get a little information on the trailer itself, and if the guy had any type of service work done to it or anything like that. And kind of long story short, somebody was selling it for the boss. No service work was ever done, just kind of stayed in it off and on when he'd come to town. So, you know, we didn't know how the black tanks were, and, you know, and how it had been taken care of, had it been winterized or anything like that. So they were asking $25,500 for that 2018. Which is still a fair good price, you know, for it being a used RV, especially with the demand that's in, that people are wanting travel trailers now. So with that, called around to some of the local dealers to see if they had the 2250 RK, and they were like, no, we don't have that, but we have it, something similar in the Transcend model. I've never looked at the Transcend model. I know Grand Design made it from what the dealerships are telling me, but I've never really looked into anything about it because it sticks in 10. I just wasn't, you know, wasn't really feeling the sticks in 10. And so we drove up to Washington and took a look at the Transcend, the 22, shoot, what do we have now? I forgot what we have now. The 231 RK. So, you know, it's the rear kitchen model. And after looking at the trailer and realizing how much more room, you know, versus the Imagine had, it's like, you know, this is kind of growing on us a little bit. Did some research on how they constructed the Transcend and how they sealed it, you know, versus the old school trailers. And after a while, I pretty much kind of convinced myself, you know, as far as going to sticks and 10. One, if there's ever any damage to it, they can repair the panel, pull the panel off, put the new panel on, do whatever they have to do. We don't have to worry about any type of delamination. Not that that's a big thing, you know, I've seen a lot of, but I'm sure it happens. And with this type of money, this is not an investment. A travel trailer is not an investment. So I didn't want to take a chance on that. So the main thing on any travel trailer, you want to make sure you do your maintenance on it. Winterization, making sure the seals are good. Constantly keeping an eye on everything. So remember, it's going down the highway at 60 miles an hour, and it's a house on wheels, basically going through a hurricane. So you need to make sure you always do your maintenance on that. So going back to the dealership, you know, and kind of, you know, God, we really like this floor plan, you know. Yeah, we don't need the dinette or the bench here. We didn't really care for that. But the more we thought about it, it's like, well, if something ever, you know, it's raining outside, we want people to come in with us, where are they going to sit, you know? And Imagine, all there is just enough room for two people. Maybe get a couple of lawn chairs and throw out in the middle of the floor. And then it's going to be, not really, you know, our cup of tea. So it's like, well, let's just see how much the Transcend is, because it's the entry model. And so when I called the dealership, called two dealerships, called the first dealership that we went and saw this model at in Washington, and they came back with 33 grand. And I replied to the guy on the phone. I said, hey man, I go, that's like MSRP or more. And he replied, he goes, yeah, but they're in high demand. That's our price. That's the best we can do out the door. I'm like, okay, all right, that's not going to work for us. So we went about our day just kind of just like, well, you know, God, that's just a lot of money. I don't want to spend that type of money. And so I called the other dealership, and they said, well, we'll call you back. I'm like, okay, no worries, no hurry. We're just looking, you know. And so my wife happened to get on Facebook, and one of her close friends had posted about her friend that owns an RV dealership down in San Antonio, Texas. And he's been in it for 20 plus years, and heck of a good guy, very trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. So my wife replied and said, we're looking. And then from there, it just took off. It went from just looking to, holy crap, we're going to be buying a travel trailer. And it looks like it's going to be in San Antonio, Texas. So Portland, Oregon to San Antonio, Texas, it's about 2,200 miles, maybe a little more. So, you know, I needed to weigh out our options. Is this really worth it? And if the price they can get what we want. So the guy called me. I said, I'm looking for a price out the door. I don't want any extra add-ons. Don't need any extra warranties or anything like that. And I don't want a price change. You know, your price you quote me today, how long is it good for? So he came back and he says, 25 grand out the door. I was like, okay. So Nina and I talked about it, and it's like, well, can we have somebody haul it up here for us? So to run the numbers, I did a lot to run the numbers. First of all, I could drive my own truck, my new truck, drive it down there, and then put the wear and tear on it, 4,400 plus miles round trip on the truck. I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to drive that far. I've never driven that far before, and so I was a little nervous about it. Just one, you know, safety wise, and you know, the weather that was coming in was terrible. So the other thing is like, well, I don't want to drive my truck, so what about if we get it shipped? So the prices that we got for shipping, so basically they're called hot shots. They just take the trailer and tow it one way, and basically you're paying for the round trip. It averaged from $3,500, which what the dealership in Seguin, Texas was quoting me, where we purchased the trailer from, is that how much their guy could haul it out here for. So $3,500. And then on up to $10,000 from some of these other reputable companies that's what they do for a living. So that's a lot of money. And so it's like, okay, what's the next thing we can do? Well, how about fly down? All right, we'll fly down. Tickets, $150 a piece one way, no big deal. We'll rent a truck and we'll tow it back so we don't have the wear and tear on my pickup. And so after looking into that, I noticed that you can only rent a truck locally. They won't rent a truck that you can tow with from one place to another state, and another state. So even if I was able to rent that, the truck itself, just to rent it, was $1,700 just to rent the truck for the days that we needed. And then that didn't include fuel or anything else like that. So I checked around from Enterprise to everybody else. Couldn't find anybody who would rent me a truck one way. It was only local only. So, so since we couldn't find that, we thought, well, what we can do is we can go through Enterprise's lot and look for any Suburban or pickup that they have with a hitch on it. And then we'll go to U-Haul or something like that and have a brake controller installed on it. And then we'll be able to hook it up and then drag it back to Oregon. That was still about, to rent the SUV or the truck, you know, and doing it kind of on the shady side, that was still about $1,600. That did not include the brake controller or anything else the truck might have needed to haul the trailer. So after thinking about it, you know, the risks are too high. You know, if we get in an accident and we end up injuring somebody, even if it's not our fault, then now the liability is on us. Then they're going to see that we modified the rental truck, and then it just turns into a nightmare. So the conclusion was, we're driving our truck. We're going to drive the new truck. We'll put the miles on it. We'll have a good time doing it. So driving the truck down, it was about $365 to go that many miles. On the way back, totally different story, of course. Got 6,000 pounds of pulling. You got headwinds that are anywhere from 45 to 60 miles an hour coming across Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. And that put our mileage down to about 6 miles per gallon for about a total of 8 hours. So it really, the truck really sucked the gas that during that time. So on the way down, we stayed in 3 hotels. Just giving you a little bit of background here where I'm going with the dollar wise, how much it actually cost us. So like I said, way down, we stayed at 3 hotels. We were very fortunate enough to stay with my wife's close friends for the four nights. Thanks, Vic and Greg. I really appreciate you guys putting up with us. And you guys saved us a lot of money from staying in a hotel. So once again, appreciate that. On the way back, we stayed at 2 RV parks and 1 casino parking lot. So very minimal. Eating out the entire vacation. Except for the last night, Nina made some great chicken and rice. It's been like over a week since we had a home-cooked meal, so really appreciated that. So round trip, including everything, it cost us about $2,500 for our road trip. Now, what we got out? We got some great views, scenery out of that, great conversations with Nina, just about general things, life, what we're going to do with the trailer, what the plans are, where do we want to go camping, you know, getting the excitement built up. To be able to enjoy this this luxury, I guess is what you want to call it. We got to spend some great time with some fantastic friends, and meet up with some old friends that we hadn't seen in 30 years, and which was really nice to know that they were living in the same town where we were staying. So it was quite a blessing to be able to take this road trip and then make all these other connections at the same time. And then, yeah, oh, by the way, yeah, we picked up a brand new trailer. So that was another huge benefit of going to San Antonio. So in the end, it was worth it. So $2,500. Here in Oregon, they want to charge me 33 grand for the same trailer that we paid 25 for in San Antonio. We saved about $5,000 doing it. And that's a lot of money to us. I mean, that's $5,000, you know, added to the financing numbers, you know, multiply it over 15 years and see how much that's really going to cost you if you can get a good interest rate. You know, speaking of interest rates, do your research on interest rates if you're going to be purchasing your RV. Check your local banks, check your credit unions, get online, just kind of check some things out, and then and also get your free credit score. Figure out where your credit score is from all 3 of them, and then when you get ready to apply or contact a dealership, then don't have them run your credit, because that's going to put a ding in your credit score every time they do that. So they can give you some numbers based on what you're telling them as far as your credit score goes, and then you can go from there. But yeah, don't let them run your credit. Get your free credit score, be done with it. So because you never know, you could be on that borderline where if, to get a great rate, you have to be at 800, right, for your score. And then you have them pull your credit, this one dealership pull your credit, and they pull it through multiple places, they pull it multiple times or whatever. We've had this happen to us in the past, not this time, but in the past. And then now that dealership doesn't really want to work with you on a price or anything like that. So now you have your credit score has a ding on it or a mark on it, or it impacts your points. And then the next thing, you go to another dealership and they say your credit score is not at 800, it's at 780. So you don't qualify for the 4.99% financing. You qualify for the 5.5% financing because the other dealership ran your credit. So once again, get your own credit score, tell them what it is, and then let them work up numbers based on what you tell them. So that's my advice. That's what I did for us, and it worked out great for us. The other thing is warranty issues. As for warranty, a lot of people are like, well, you bought it out of state. Now you're not going to have anything to do with the warranty. I knew that going in. And the stuff that I've read and I've talked to some of the dealerships, they usually want you to reach out to them first, but then go to the manufacturer of the trailer, and then they will contact the nearest dealership to approve working on the repairs if it's under warranty. So we have a couple of dealerships in our area. Like I said, yes, there's going to be a wait line. They're completely swamped no matter what. I didn't buy it from these guys locally, but if it's something that's urgent, then we might just have to deal with the problem and continue to go camping and just make do. It's not a big deal. We'll figure it out. There's always a way around it. So the inventory, the warranty rather. Being 2,200 miles away, we're not going to take it back to Texas. With being 2,200 miles away, they wanted us to do the paperwork on the RV right off the bat. You need to fill this out before we can even get it into our inspection. So they do a pre-delivery inspection also before we actually do a PDI, a pre-delivery inspection with the dealership too. So, but before they can get that in their system, you got to fill out all their financing paperwork, all this stuff, that they want. So that way they get you approved for the financing. And then it's like, okay, signed, sealed deal, basically before they can start getting to the PDI. And keep in mind that it takes about 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks, for them to get that into their schedule where they can actually do what they need to do before you actually see it. So keep that in mind. Don't be in a rush because it's definitely going to take some time. We were fortunate enough that they got it done in a week from the time we did our paperwork until the time we went to go do our PDI with them. They got it done. They got their end of the deal done in a week. So, which I was really, really happy with that. So with the issues that we found, we allowed them 2 extra days to take care of the issues that we found. They were minor, nothing big. But even though you're signing the paperwork, right, online, you're basically buying something sight unseen. So when you read that contract they send you, make sure you really read it, because there's a lot of things in there that they try to that state that they can increase the price at any given time that they want to. You're accepting it as is. Some places will mark it as a used vehicle even though it's brand new, so that way they don't have to take care of, they're not obligated to take care of anything. So read all that fine print. It's well worth it. And if there's something that you don't agree with, your salesman, like our salesman did, Gus, I said, look, you quoted me 25 grand out the door. In this contract, it says that the price can increase at any given time. Is that going to happen? And he's like, no, sir, it will not. He goes, your price is good for this many days till the end of January, I think it was. So I was like, okay. So I asked him, I said, so on the you owe, there's in the paperwork, there's stuff that they owe, like IOUs, you know, like stuff that they need to do, right? So one was fill up the LP tanks, provide a battery. Also in an email sent stating that if there's a price increase, the contract will be torn up on site. If it does not meet our PDI's, you know, approval after we've done our inspection, after the repairs have been made, that if we're still not happy, the contract would be torn up. We're not obligated. And so I asked him to put all that information on that piece of paper, that, you know, the IOU stuff, or the promissory thing that they're going to do for you. They all have their lingo, so you just got to make sure you read through that and save your emails. You know, get everything in email or a text message, but save them. Just don't take somebody's word over the telephone. You can't do that. You just can't. We got really lucky with Gus, and he treated us really right. So with the documentation, so with the price increase too. Now they talk about in that contract how the price can increase at any given time. Well, that's baloney. They paid for the RV. The dealership has already paid for the RV, sitting on their lot. There's no way the price can increase, period. They got it for what they got it for. So if a dealership wants to charge you more after you've already been there and you're getting ready to sign the paperwork and they're saying, oh, it's another $2,000-$3,000, don't do it. Don't do it. That's shady business. Do not do it. Walk away. There's other dealerships out there that will take care of you and not give you that stuff that they're trying to pull. So don't fall for it. Make sure, you know, you do your research on the reviews of the RV dealership that you're looking at, and don't be afraid to shop around, and also shop out of your area. You know, that's what we had to do. If you told me a month ago that I'd be driving to Texas to get a travel trailer, I'd said, you're nuts. There's no way I'm doing that. No way. But the effort that you put into shopping around out of state, out of your area, is going to be well worth it. But you really have to be patient, and you really have to make sure that you read all that stuff. You know, don't let them charge you extra for like TV or microwave and stuff like that. Because sometimes what happens at the dealerships, if a TV comes in damaged in a unit that they're selling, they'll rob it out of another one and then put it in the one that they just sold, so that way they can get that customer on their way. And so when you get ready to purchase the RV or the travel trailer and there's no TV and they try to charge you for it, that's bogus. So get on the manufacturer's websites and see what comes with the trailer as standard options. So look at all those standard options to see what it has. Make sure it has a spare tire. You know, some of these trailers, people don't even know they don't have a spare tire. So yeah, and LP tanks and batteries, and a battery rather. So do your research on that, because it will save you a lot of money and a lot of arguing back and forth and stress. So this is supposed to be a good time and a fun time to buy a travel trailer or an RV, motorhome, whatever. So make it an enjoyable time. The more you know, the better off you're going to be. So like I was mentioning, one of the guys, a couple of people that we really I need to give a shout out to is Ben Notgrass down America Go RV. Fantastic, straight up honest guy. I can't not speak highly enough of him. I mean, his word is his word. He tells you what he's going to do. He does what he says and says what he does. So the other one is Gus over at Explorer RV, Explorer USA RV there in Seguin. Both these guys are in Seguin, Texas. It's worth the drive to go out and visit them. You know, we receive no benefits or any type of anything from either one of these guys. But I cannot express how great their communication was and their honesty, and, you know, the trust that we felt with those guys with this whole process. In one of the other links, I talk about how Ben helped us find that weight distribution, that Anderson hitch. You know, he didn't have to do that. I mean, You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to call me back. You didn't have to give me leads. You could just say, well, there's some up there on the road somewhere. You're just going to stop at every one and look. So, but he didn't do that. He led us to the right dealership to get that taken care of. But so we don't get anything from these guys. I just cannot express. Customer service is big. Communication is big. You know, you got to build that trust with your salesman. If you don't have that trust and you got that weird feeling like, I'm not so sure about this guy, then either ask for a different salesman or go to a different place. But you want somebody that's going to be on it, that gets back to you in a timely manner, that's a straight shooter. And you don't need anybody that's crooked or sly or anything like that, because this is supposed to be a great experience for you guys. And remember that you're in control. You're in control of the entire purchase the whole time. You're the boss. It's your money. It's your credit. You make it happen when you want to make it happen. So if you just keep those things in mind, you know, we just wanted to make sure that we shared some of the things that we experienced with buying our trailer and why we purchased it out of state. Would I do it again? If it was the right deal, I'd probably do it again. But yeah, it was nice seeing some friends down there and really meeting people down in Texas and just enjoying life. So I hope you find this video beneficial to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. Smash that thumbs up button for like, and share the video if you want to with some of your friends and family or anybody that's looking for an RV. Again, this is your time. Enjoy it while you can, and we'll see you on the next exciting adventure. Take care.